Hi, my name is Danielle Boswarva. I was a guest here today at Trillium United Church. Today we talked about remote control cars, and we talked about moving closer to God and listening to God. We talked about how when you're driving a remote control car, if it's out of range of the remote, it doesn't work, or it goes a little crazy. It might not stop, it might spin in circles, but it doesn't work. So in order to get the remote control car to work, you have to move it closer to the controller. So we talked about how if you can't hear God, sometimes you need to move closer to God. And that the remote is always reaching out to the car, even when it can't reach. And so God is always reaching out to you. If you open yourself to Him, He will reach out to you. We watched a video today called the Lifehouse Everything Skit. Look it up on Google, don't YouTube it. Look it up on Google. Really amazing video. It gets me every time. And it's about a girl who's being awoken by God, and she's with Him, and suddenly she's pulled away. She's pulled away by various things that happen in her life, by a handsome rogue, or by vanity, or excess. It goes through all these different things that just pull her further and further and further away from God. But the fascinating thing is, even when you catch Him just on the side of the stage, He is always reaching for her. He reaches for her until she's finally, she's fighting to get back, but she can't get through all these things, all these people standing in her way, until finally He just comes in and lifts everything off her and lets her stand. And then, takes her away. They're back together again, and He gives her a big hug that is just fabulous. Really recommend the video. Lifehouse Everything Skit. Google it. But then we also talked about, how do you move closer to God? You listen to Him. We shared a story of a youth pastor I used to know in Brantford. A really fabulous, inspirational story. She told us that she wanted to try listening to God, not just for the big things, for the little things as well. So she had a friend who came over one day to visit. Her friend wasn't feeling very well. So her friend said to her, "Hey, I'll stay home with your baby if you don't mind going and running a couple errands for me for the church." So my friend, this youth pastor, Nikki, said, "Sure, no problem." So she got in her friend's car. Off she went, and she thought, "All right, I'm going to listen to God. I'm going to let God tell me where to go." So she got in the car and she said, "All right, God, I need to go to the bank. Do I go uptown or downtown?" They were the same distance. And she heard downtown. She thought, "Oh, I don't want to go downtown. That's where all the thugs hang out. It's hard to get to. Can we just go uptown?" That wasn't God anyway. Let me try that again. "God, which bank do I go to?" "Downtown." All right, so she's driving downtown and she's getting annoyed. She thinks this isn't a good bank. I don't want to go here. And she said she heard in her head, "Don't you trust me to keep you safe?" So off to the bank she goes, does her banking, gets back in her car without incident, and says, "All right, God, I need to go drop off some mail. I need to go to the grocery store. Which one do I go to first?" For her, ideally, it would have been better to go to the post office first, then the grocery store, because it would have made a nice circle back to her house. But lo and behold, grocery store. So she's really frustrated. She's driving to the grocery store. She's getting really annoyed, until finally she said she heard God yell. She said she's never heard it before or since, but she said He yelled. He said, "Stop." So she pulled over, and there was a mailbox. So she knew she had to go put her mail in that mailbox, and she said she looked ridiculous as she got out of her car, yelling at God, "Why do you care where I put my mail?" So she puts her mail in the mailbox, and suddenly she hears a voice. Someone calling her name. It was her babysitter running towards her. She missed the bus and was going to be late to pick up her kids, Nikki's kids. So if Nikki hadn't listened to God, she wouldn't have been there at that moment. Moreover, because she was out, she would not have been able to receive the phone call saying that her kids were not going to be picked up, or had not been picked up. She also would not have had a car to go pick up her kids. So that one just always moved me. And there was one other thing she taught me that I hope to pass on to you. And that is how to listen to God, to pray to God. So I issued a few challenges, and I will issue them to you as well. Go out today, take a minute today, tomorrow, day after, but listen to God. When you pray, remember that prayer is a conversation, and conversation goes two ways. So stop when you pray and listen to God. Listen to what He has to say. We have our Trillium prayer line, which is really neat. The email that goes around, really fabulous. I challenge you to pray to God and ask Him who should be on that. Then I challenge you to submit it. If you want an extra challenge, call them. Call the person that you're now praying for and tell them you're praying for them. You may not know why, but they will. We also issued one of the hardest challenges of all, and I challenge you to do it. Find a person, someone, a friend, a family member. Pray for them. Let God tell you what you need to tell them. It can be a picture, it can be a hug, it can be scripture, it can be words, it can be a phrase, it can be anything. The first thing you hear in your head will be what God is telling you. Now for the hard part. You have to tell them. You have to tell them, I prayed for you and this is what God told me. So give it a shot. Change my life, and I really hope that it can help you on your faith journey as well.